Greetings and salutations, everybody. We are back with more D&D Abeyance, run by the ever-capable Nick Freeman. Nick, take it away.
Oh, it's too nice kind of compliment and also very inaccurate. So, it is going to be... we're going to be picking up where... in the aftermath of last time, which was primarily dealing with stuff involving the art gallery in London, that Jerome and Gideon and Dentalion cleverly managed to work their way into, utilizing the very much legitimate painting by Cecilia Teague that Jerome had... Stolen's not the right word. Maybe raided, also potentially reclaimed, considering it is very much in his own likeness. And use that to work your way in by saying that you wanted to sell it, and then you guys were able to poke around. You managed to scope out the place in terms of its security. You also found... when Gideon was poking around the curator's office, a list of names, which happened to have some crossover with the curator. I've forgotten what his name was already. Yates, was it? Something like that?
Yates, I think was it, yes.
It was Yates. He mentioned a few names that apparently were regular purchasers of Cecilia Teague's work that happened to get along with her.
Right.
But there are a few other names on the list beyond those as well. And prior to that, Tan and Reiko were trying to work out a plan to surreptitiously, secretly, other subtle words, I guess, get her girlfriend Yuki invited to Reiko's funeral. Or tell her to go to the funeral even if she wasn't invited.
Mm-hmm.
Inspire.
Can I suggest violence?
Yeah. I mean, basically, there's like...
violence is always a potential option. Whether or not it is a valid solution, I cannot guarantee.
It's like so we're going to stage a kidnapping and have a ransom note read off on TV that just happens to be telling Yuki to go to the funeral. Got it.
As much as Reiko would like to have her around, that's not the way she would like it to go about happening.
I just we see a series of explosions down her street. The timing between them is Morse code for go to Reiko's funeral.
God.
Or alternatively, while the Ouija board somehow is set up, explosions cause it to move around on its own to spell out "go to the funeral." That's going to take a lot of specific charges. I don't know if that's going to work.
So who here has a high enough demolition skill to pull that sort of thing off?
That was what my question was going to be. Which of you is trained in precise demolition?
Alternatively,
I am trained in enthusiasm.
Alternatively, here's a very dumb idea I think we'll get a laugh out of it. Alternatively, what if Yuki was playing Metal Gear Solid with a Force Dual Shock PlayStation controller, and when Psycho Mantis says they're going to move the controller, it does Morse code via the rumble to say go to the funeral.
Skitch. Somehow that is actually the most likely to succeed plan that has been proposed so far. So congratulations.
But that's contingent on Yuki having a PlayStation and using a controller with force feedback.
Yeah.
I would play that there, and I don't want to put that much on Wid's depiction of Yuki as a character.
No, Yuki's clearly a PC gamer. It's not going to work out. So.
I'm just going to throw out that if you really, really want to go hard on the absurdist point of that, then you do it in Metal Gear Solid 4 where they revisit the joke, except the original controllers didn't have a rumble function, so Psycho Mantis loses his shit and goes to the afterlife in shame.
Yep.
But if you do have a rumble controller, then he goes peacefully.
Yes, that's I love that, right? Because
And so we could have it be with the Rumble controller, which people would not have had at the time of release.
right, and it's interesting because it actually
This is
had
very
coded
obscure
there.
trivia.
Well, it's interesting because it
Like
had
I said, if
coded
you're
there.
gonna go hard, go hard.
It had code in there to check for force feedback, and is able to interact with it, I guess. But
It's
it just
Kojima.
did-
Of course he had like that contingency plan.
yeah, it's just yeah, it's very
Like you're not going to have the next like line of PlayStation consoles and have them not have a force feedback function in the controllers, permanently. Like that's
Well,
not happening.
well, yeah, and listen, Sony's inability to do licensing correctly aside, the other thing I was going to point out that's really funny is my favorite part about that is just when Psychometric says, you like to play Suikoden then. just like that specific game because it was a Konami title, and it's just like, okay.
Mhm.
All right. With that being said, Reiko, Tan, what is your actual plan?
Well, okay.
We're going with the
Show up
explosion
for
Morse
this
code thing,
session.
right?
What?
My plan is to show up for this session.
So
I would have liked
believe-
to have done planning, but I got conscripted into doing last-minute cleaning work for an arrival that no one told me about until an hour ago.
Yeah, so-
hate that.
it's okay because we have the initial goal, and I think the goal is going to be what we're going to do. It's just a matter of getting there is the thing. So the goal is to use the Ouija board to do the communication. That is what's going to happen. The only trick, honestly, is just convincing Yuki to either set it out or otherwise. Like that's kind of like the play here. So
Okay.
beyond that, I think that's I think because even if it was like just set up and just sort of like casually set up, it could do something. We could do something with that there easily enough there. That's my thought. I'm not sure what your thought is, Win, on that front. Because I think the assumption is that it's stowed away right now.
Oh hell no!
Oh, it's out now, out and about.
Like it's a $500 expensive looking Ouija board, like US dollar, not yen. Expensive looking Ouija board. It's a display piece.
Okay. So and I guess the question then would be, how is it displayed in Yuki's place? That's
Or would it be at Yuki's place?
It's at
Or would it
Reiko's
be
place.
it would be at Reiko's
was at Reiko's place. Got it.
Now, one will can assume a few things. First off, since Reiko was going to university, was she like living at a dorm? Was she living with her family? What do you think?
Definitely not with her family because that would drive her insane.
Okay.
I hadn't really put any thought to it, but dorm sounds about right.
Okay. Then it would make sense to me if there were certain people that had access to Reiko's place. So, there is a potential that maybe certain items were retrieved from this place. So there is a potential, especially if, Yuki knew the significance of this display piece, that maybe she would have recovered it to make sure that when news of Reiko's death went out and her place was being emptied out, that it didn't get thrown out or something like that.
I have an idea on that line, but I think it's a little bit funnier, and I think it's a little bit more up Reiko's alley here. So assumption is that some people at the university have probably heard about what has happened.
They would. Yeah, I would think
I
so.
imagine
yeah.
I imagine it's been like a rumor circle for a while,
Right.
with Elise, seeing as she went missing, quote unquote.
So one thought could have been that maybe some entity at the university decided to just send her stuff back to her family. However, we intercept it and have it routed over to Yuki instead.
You want to interfere on a UPS driver's route or something?
Listen, okay, that's sort of my idea. It's just like step one is get the stuff to Yuki. Then step two, while Yuki's looking at it, do the thing. That's sort of Tananar's sort of two-pronged, this plan cannot fail plan that they wrote on an artisan napkin, But
yeah.
I was figuring that she would just head
Interesting.
over there just to be like, oh shit, I should go pick up stuff.
okay,
That was what I was kind of thinking along the lines of.
Because it places her in Reiko's apartment, and that's a bit of a more sentimental place.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. My thought was that when you said it was her place, I was like, okay, so it's in her dorm room, or
But like dorm, apartment, whatever, they're all interchangeable in my head because I've never used any of them.
right. So apartment assumes that she's living by herself, right?
Yeah.
More likely, one would think.
Okay, so in that case, then, right. I would say, then in that case, they're right. Just some communication to Yuki unless Yuki has the inclination to just go get Reiko's stuff from her place is sort of the play. And then while at Reiko's place, we can have the message delivered. It's effectively it.
Right.
I think it is definitely not outside the realm of possibility for someone in Yuki's position, given the nature of her relationship with Reiko, to expect that if items at her place were suddenly going to be either sent home or thrown out, that she would know that either way there are certain things that would not be respected, and so she would do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That tracks.
Okay. So, you guys, I guess, set about like making plans for like when and where you're going to take action on this. If you want to, we can have it be like at a time that she goes to Reiko's apartment, or when she has already brought stuff back to her own place. Either or is fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think go to.
I think go to. Honestly, I think it would be fine for them just to have a moment, just kind of like almost preparing the apartment in advance of Yuki showing up.
Pretty
little bit.
much.
That makes sense. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But like my line of thinking is one way to definitely get her attention towards it, not that it isn't attention getting in the first place,
Right.
would be to make it so that like something falls around there so she would investigate that area.
Sure. Or maybe it's just sort of maybe it's just set up like on a table, just kind of out there in the open already, so it's hard to miss it. And then,
Sure, that works.
have like a candlestick next to it that just sort of falls over, and
Something like that, yeah.
exactly. So I think that's the.
Yeah, but where are you gonna get candlesticks in Reiko's apartment?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe other than the several citations of a fire hazard.
I mean, fair.
In her domicile.
Listen, okay.
I've just suddenly imagined like she's just got all like the like electric candles.
Oh man,
it's been a long time since I was in college.
Those are for ambiance, not for seances.
Right. So yeah, like listen, okay. We of course there's going to be like a little setup there. I think that's the plan there. So I think we can cut. I think what we could open up with is at Reiko's place. Tan is sort of like engaging in basically like kind of, because this is the first time I think Tan is showing Reiko how they do work on site, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think that's because you've kind of been like working on your stuff in the background during investigations, but this is like what the primary purpose of what you're doing on this outing. All right, I'm going to say that while the other three in your group were doing investigations and infiltrating the art gallery, that you were going through the proceedings to basically do this outing. Because it's once again like Reiko is having to be outside of Limbo and back in the physical world and stuff. But this definitely, I think, would be able to argue Tan that it falls in the purview of your duties. So it might have taken a little bit of convincing, but to actually get here, I'm fine with not having to roll for it, and we just kind of say like, after a bit of time, you did it. So
yeah, basically the hardest part was Tan convincing others in terms of like clearances and stuff like that. But it's
Yes.
just like
And it's been like several weeks. Like the time has been available to get the bureaucracy going.
sure.
Mhm.
Even going even so far as being like explicit like this, Reiko, it's like, my responsibility. I'm fine, shouldering this. This is part of the process necessary to allow Reiko to pass on calmly as necessary. Yada yada yada. Signed here. The initials here. Not blood sample here, but something else just to kind of like make it with the effort.
Ectoplasm sample.
Yes.
All right. So you guys are.
Oh shit. An ectogram, like a monogram, but it's an ectoplasm.
Oh my God.
You got it. But
Okay, so just to make sure that I understand, so your plan is that you're expecting Yuki to come here at some point. So when she does, you want to have like your stuff set up so that she'll be drawn to your device for delivering the suggestive message, which is the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like the various candles will be arranged in a manner that she's familiar with because she's seen Reiko do it many, many times because Reiko drags her into this shit.
Yep.
And so like if she sees like that same formation, knowing that that was not there when Reiko took off, that's going to catch her attention very quickly.
Okay. What we'll say it sounds like to me the most difficult aspect of this plan to pull off is just going to know the timing. So if you can give me an insight check, Reiko, and this is going to be flat.
All right. I was going to say before Reiko I was going to double aid in this respect here.
Okay.
So this would be Bardic Inspiration plus guidance on this front here. So
okay.
roll a D4.
I'm gonna re-roll this first.
Okay, re-roll that first, and then we'll. Okay, so
that is way below my passive. Fuck.
Well, that's okay, but like you got a bonus D6 and a bonus D4 to throw on top of that.
Yeah, working on it.
I do understand that like that is the 2 and then a 5 on the die, so I understand your frustration. Okay. All right.
Barely above my passive.
Yeah, well, you rolled above a 15. That is, I think, pretty decent for this kind of thing. So you pick out a time that you think that your girlfriend would come over. You go to your apartment ahead of time, and you guys start setting some stuff up. I'll come back. I'm going to circle back around to that in a little bit. Artsy investigation team.
Ooh.
Oh.
So, you guys had given me a couple of things that you wanted to follow up on while after you had gotten the information, which were you had heard from Yates that there was something that happened with Cecilia that had caused her art style to change and to move out and stuff like that. The other was just the names. If you want to, you guys can just return to home base right now, or if you're in the physical world, it might be prudent to do some investigation here.
That is what I was thinking. Sorry, go. Please continue, Nick. I didn't mean to.
Oh, just in the sense that when you get back to Limbo, it's where you're going to get a lot more resources surrounding the dead.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas if you want to know about the goings on of living people, hitting up the internet is probably going to get you a lot more answers than all the resources
I was
you
thinking
have
something
back
along
home.
those lines.
Yeah.
Gideon, having been introduced to the library and microfiche last time we did investigations in a town, is headed to a library to see if he can look some stuff up in newspaper microfiche stuff, because he still doesn't really get the internet. Microfiche is like, this is record keeping. I get this. It's almost like paper. Almost.
Jerome's just shaking his head, like, but I'm with the computer, aren't I?
I was actually just thinking, like, having had the internet introduced to him as knowing everything, just need to know the ask the right question. He's like, oh, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know this scam. I just need to type it into this Google. What a ridiculous name.
Okay.
Oh
Yes.
wow, hot chicks in my area are looking for me. How'd they even know I was here?
All right.
But yes, Gideon is going to be going through old newspaper stuff from around the time that our style changed. That
Newspaper stuff.
yes,
Okay.
that is Gideon's angle of investigation because that is that is sort of the way he thinks.
All right. So you're looking into that. Dan, Jerome, is there any specific avenues you want to pursue on this?
Well, we have the names, and we know they are art buyers.
Yeah.
So we can cross reference those on the internet, and we could probably get some kind of information on these wealthy benefactors, wealthy patrons, rather.
Okay.
I promise not to get distracted and come away thinking that the Earth, not only is the Earth flat, but it's run by a secret cabal of lizard people from the Hollow Earth,
Who live, in the center of the Earth,
which is flat.
Which is flat.
Flat Hollow Earth is a hell of a combination, Eric. Gotta say. Wow.
Okay, so
It's a D6.
Oh shit! I just remembered something. Gideon is currently not actually manifested.
okay. You do have the ability to do that, however.
Yes, I do. Thankfully, yeah, right. Okay, so Gideon's gonna find somewhere where he can sort of manifest. And yes. And
Okay.
his standard sort of rumpled sort of quasi PI look.
I think that it's safe to say that when you get outside, that there are ample places where you can find, some high hedges or a back alley or something like that without having to roll.
Gideon spends a couple minutes fruitlessly looking for an actual phone booth because those don't exist anymore. Phone booth. I've heard of those. There are no phone booths. What happened?
Oh man, I'm just thinking about how that was a joke in the first Superman movie.
Yes.
Yeah, he looks at like the very tiny phone booth that you can't even entertain the idea of closing into.
And
at
even
all.
those aren't an option anymore.
Yep.
Public telephones aren't a thing anymore.
Okay, so you guys go
Because
to
that's socialism.
You guys go to a library. So Gideon, you start going through newspapers. You're looking for stuff in relation to Cecilia Teague's change.
Yep.
You guys, and then Jerome and Dan are referencing the list of names that you have with known purchasers in the art world. So I want to get we're going to have separate investigation roles for this.
Yes.
Gideon, you're on your own.
Yep.
Jerome and Tantalian, you can either roll separately or one of you can give help to the other.
What's your investigation?
+4.
I'm +5.
Why don't I help aid you then?
Since it'll be with advantage then?
Yes.
All right.
Ooh, nice.
23. Okay.
All right, and mine is a 20.
Ooh, right. Okay. So we're going to get the simple stuff out of the way first,
Okay.
which is where Gideon is concerned.
I kind of guessed.
Gideon, looking through newspapers from around that period, you do look kind of like in the sections that deal, because there are there are sections, especially like for local papers that deal with the art world and deal with someone who was a local figure at the time,
Right.
like Cecilia when she lived here. and there are, quite a few different articles between different papers about how, like, the artist Cecilia Teague has decided to move back to her hometown, and there's a lot of talk about that stuff. A lot of it's just speculation you find as to why she is doing it. Cecilia, basically, it seems, was pretty private about why she made the change.
Right.
There is speculation in one or two of them that it was family concerns, some that it might have to do with health. It's, none of them say it's like, oh, like, it's just, she just wanted to do it. Like, there does seem to be this kind of suspicion amongst people that there was definitely a reason that she moved back home. But it wasn't like there was some tremendous controversy or very public split or dispute,
right,
or in terms of like what you guys have been looking into at the gallery. It's not, it doesn't seem as if it had anything to do with, as far as you can find, something about corruption within the art world in terms of who was buying stuff. Speaking of which, people buying Cecilia stuff. So you guys look into the names that you have. So the two names that I gave you before for Hoffman and Reyes, you find some pretty basic stuff on them kind of right away. Especially like when you put in like the terms like, Hoffman, Cecilia Teague, art, blah, blah, blah. And like, there's a few pictures of her like kind of like posing with them next to like a painting that she has done and stuff. Just, it seems like it was very publicly known that she got along with these two collectors, and they seemed to be very enthusiastic about her work and would, gush about like, oh, the meaning of different pieces and stuff. But so their positive relationship is kind of very publicly known. A little bit deeper as you look into some of the other names, you find the name. Did I screw up? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, good. You find the name Patricia Howell. Patricia Howell is kind of a renowned local art collector. Wealthy, comes from old money, and she seemingly would often claim to have discovered Cecilia, like plucked her from obscurity and elevated her to prominence. With your 23 investigation roll, Jerome, you're able to find that she is exaggerating that, with some cross-reference of like when Cecilia was like appearing in exhibits and stuff, and also just like people online commenting about it, that it is disputed that Patricia Howell like discovered Cecilia Teague. It's more along the lines of Cecilia was starting to get a bit of acclaim, and Patricia kind of swooped in, bought a work of hers for a very high price, and did assist her career in that way. But now basically, because she did that, she essentially bought the reputation of, oh, I discovered this talent. And she gets to add that to her own reputation. You also find stuff on Cobb and Stanford. Both seem to be businessmen of some degree. It's kind of hard to find information on Stanford because you just kind of see it being that name being linked with a few businesses in the area, along with investments in a few art pieces. Cobb is like a significantly more wealthy person. It sounds like they're like a business magnate who has been involved in real estate. And there are murmurings, especially on like certain forums that you find, that he gets into paintings primarily to use them as tax write-offs. So doesn't seem to have any particular actual interest in Cecilia's actual work, just that they're valuable and he can use them as write-offs. Also, with a bit of digging, it seems that Cobb has some kind of relationship with the art gallery, but a lot of it is speculation and people are not really privy to it. The probably most interesting thing you find is with the last name, which is Bailey, because when you look up, Bailey, Cecilia Teague, you find that this is probably referring to Marshall Bailey, who was a contemporary of Cecilia's when she was attending Goldsmiths for her university degree. And Marshall Bailey and Cecilia were often kind of like spoken of in the same breath as these two upcoming artists at the time, who then also went on to have successful careers. Bailey ended up having a lot of very wealthy patrons after that point. A number of very wealthy people took an interest in his work, have commissioned him for various stuff, and he has become very, very wealthy himself. The impression that you get is that all the people on this list definitely do have the funds, some more than others, but all sufficiently to be regular buyers of Cecilia's work.
Okay.
All right. So my immediate thought there is if Cobb is connected with the art gallery, then he's probably manipulating the prices of the paintings there just so he can get the most out of the first tax write-offs he can.
Entirely possible. Do you have any clarifying questions on that before I just kind of let you think about it?
You said it was Goldsmiths, right?
Goldsmiths is the university that Cecilia attended, and also that Marshall Bailey attended. They weren't in the same class, but they were either 1 or 2 years separated from each other.
Well, that seems like it could be another angle of investigation we can do in a little bit.
Biggest Goldsmiths.
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's an actual University of London.
Okay.
So
I hate that Google's listening in on us when we do this because I immediately put Goldsmiths in. It's like University of London.
Yep, Goldsmiths, University of London. Yeah. So again, I don't really know a lot about it.
It's got less than 9,000 students. It's not that big.
Yeah. So.
It seems to me that this will be a good maybe investigate some old yearbooks or maybe look for some connection on through the alumni club, people that might have known them when they were in school together. I don't know. We got options there.
Okay. All right. So I will let you guys just kind of think about what you want to do on that front.
Sure.
Let's go to Reiko's apartment.
Alrighty.
So you guys have got some stuff set up. So I guess in case I miss any details here, you've got the Ouija boards laid out in a very easy to spot place.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some stuff like either candlesticks or something near it, so that on the off chance that Yuki does not see it, you can do something to knock it over and her attention will be drawn to it. And then when she actually is looking at it, then you'll do something to actually have it spell out a message to her.
And to be clear, we're not trying to set the apartment on fire to create a pressure for her to really pay attention to the Ouija board before escaping just in time.
Right.
Nothing
The candles are not lit. Got it. Okay. Just the electric ones are lit. Okay.
I was also wondering what Reiko's thoughts would have been to to take a little time to sort of like prepare items to be taken by Yuki more easily afterwards. Like some things might not necessarily be packed up per se, but like items that Reiko would specifically want Yuki to take with her. You know, just being kind of like
Yeah,
s-
Reiko would definitely set a few things out as like, okay, priority, 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 priority. I can do without this. Priority, priority, priority.
Okay. Hmm. Make an investigation check with advantage, Reiko.
Oh boy.
I know it's not. I know it's not a great skill of yours, but
better roll a second time just to be oh no, investigation was the
Oh,
ass.
wrong
that's okay.
button.
Yeah.
Just add +1.
Okay.
They're right next
It
to each other.
it takes you a little bit to find some of your stuff. You know, you were, you know, a university student, so you didn't have the best organizational skills in the world, but you know where some of your most important stuff is. It just kind of takes a little bit of digging around to find some things you weren't sure of.
Might I sorry.
Go ahead.
Can Tan attempt an insight check to determine if there's anything that might be missing from this? Basically, trying to infer from what they know of Reiko what might be of extra things to suggest.
I mean, sure.
All right, let's see here. Tan, so nothing too big there.
Nothing huge.
All right, I'm just trying to do everything I can to help here.
I mean, this is, I mean, like not your guys' like primary goal in this stuff. But we'll say that like if we'll just kind of like put a pin in this, so if it turns out like we want to establish anything later, then maybe we can say that. So you know, you Reiko, you put out some like more private, important stuff. You know, along the lines of like, you know, if you had like a journal that you want Yuki to have or something like that, you can probably pretty easily pull out and just kind of lay on an end table, that kind of thing. This is also like an apartment belonging to one college student, so it's not the biggest place in the world either, and in Japan on top of that.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of floor space.
It's not super huge. Like no, it's
but you know, you
pretty
like
much
pull
pretty
stuff
much
out
like
of the
the
closet.
Ouija board and maybe like some personal effects. That's going to be about it. It's not like she super values like the textbooks or what the hell ever.
Let me put those out too. You can sell them.
This one
get back 10% of their value.
This one has a printing. This one has a printing error that makes it more valuable, right? No. Wait,
Nope.
no,
that means they won't take
not
it
for
back.
textbooks.
They actually parse through those for as many mistakes as possible, so they don't have to pay you anything. Okay, so you do have with your roll from before, you time it out so that you get there, you know, somewhere between like 30 minutes to an hour before Yuki, you think Yuki would get there, to give yourselves time to prepare.
Right.
And after you think that you've gotten as much stuff ready as you can, you guys hear shuffling and clicking at the front door.
Upon hearing that, Tan sort of like gets a little bit more alert and sort of kind of gestures for Reiko to, well, not be in the room.
Reiko contemplates the fact that the room basically is the bedroom, and it's like there's a bathroom and a window, and the timing's off.
Okay, the door opens up. Reiko Yuki has used a spare key to open the door. And she, you know, clicks the light on, kind of takes a look around the room. Make a perception check. Okay.
Oh, finally, I rolled something that's higher than an 8.
Reiko, Yuki doesn't seem as put together as usual.
Mhm.
And you can see that like her skin doesn't look great right now. Like she has not been sleeping very well recently. She's got kind of like the kind of sallow uh,
Mhm.
appearance around her eyes and everything.
Right.
And you kind of can tell also looking at her that her eye, you kind of like follow where her eyes are going, and her eyes kind of like settle on a couple different places in the
Mhm.
area. Like at like a little table that has two chairs, and like on like the edge of your bed, uh, over to the Ouija board, and you can tell as she pauses, like that she's just kind of remembering a few times that you guys spent together in here.
Right.
She takes a breath, and she kind of pulls up like so she kind of starts to unfold these big paper bags, and she starts to go about the room, and she picks up a few of the items that you guys have laid out, and she starts to carefully put them into the bags.
Mhm.
So let's see here. You guys want her to interact with the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
I will, I guess, while thinking about that next step, I will note that Tan is a bit on edge the instant that Yuki enters the room. Uh, for the reasons they explained to Reiko the last time we had the scene together about like the dangers of this situation in particular.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How we're gonna do this is Tan, make a persuasion check for me.
Persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 15 for you.
Okay. All right. So Yuki doesn't like immediately gravitate towards the board, but it is one of those kinds of items that is impossible to ignore, even if you
Mhm.
have no personal attachment to it. And
Mhm.
so inevitably, as you do kind of like sit back and watch her warily for a bit as she's going about picking stuff up, storing it away so that she can take it out of here. And she does eventually come to the Ouija board where it's sitting out.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like with some of the others, just immediately picking it up and carefully putting it away, she does pause at it and just kind of look over it.
Hmm.
And go ahead.
I will say that Tan is sort of like perched nearby there, watching intently and sort of waiting for hopefully the moment that she basically just sort of like runs fingers along the Ouija board and then on what is the object that's used on the Ouija board called?
Oh, the little lens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is it
That's a
called?
good question.
It's a widget.
board. It is a planchet.
Yeah, so the idea that once her fingers touch the planchet is when Tan wants to just begin, quote unquote, like the show of moving things.
Okay. Okay. Yuki looks down at the board for a second, and she is kind of clearly in thought about it, and she looks away from it. She doesn't step away from it, but she looks around and she looks at some of the gothic trappings of Reiko's room. Her books on the occult, and the like. and she just she goes, you always had to try me to get you always had to try to convince me to use this stupid thing, and now I wish that I thought it would work. And she reaches out and she does kind of, in order to put it away, have to pick up the planchette.
Yeah. As she touches the planchette, it starts to kind of slide gently, in a way that implies that it's moving in a manner that's not influenced by her touch directly.
Okay.
Just the yeah.
Make a sleight of hand check with advantage.
Okay.
You were planning your move on this, so
Yeah.
I'll give you
It's
that
an
much.
11.
Okay. You're not trying to swipe it from her hand or anything.
Right.
So I will say that you are able to guide it in such a way that it doesn't immediately seem like a ghost is moving it. We'll put it that
Mhm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys, what do you want? Do you just want it to just move weirdly in this moment?
The implication,
Or do you want it to start to spell something?
I think the implication, and correct me on this, Wind, is that Reiko would have wanted Yuki to effectively engage with it as if she is doing a seance without Reiko effectively.
Okay.
And so
More or
the
less.
yeah,
Okay.
the theatrics of it is sort of that.
All right. She goes to pick up the planchette, and instead of picking it upward to then fold up the board and put it away, she starts to it starts to drift across the board horizontally,
Mm-hmm.
as if in her motion to start putting it away.
Mm-hmm.
And she pauses, and she stops, goes, and she slides out a chair at the table, sits down at the board. And she places both of her hands gripping the planchette, puts it in the center of the board, and kind of lets her head tilt back a little bit so she's not really looking at it, and starts to just kind of move it aimlessly back and forth.
Okay. All right. Once she gets things so I was trying to think of this thing here. Side question in terms of preparation stuff. How important is it from Reiko's perspective for Yuki to light the candles to sort of properly engage with the seance in this case here? Is that part of the theatrics important, or is it just sort of whatever, don't worry as much about it?
Traditionally, it would be important, but realistically speaking, we know how things are working on this side, so we don't need to do
Sure.
it's supposed to be there as a beacon to catch the
Yeah.
attention and yada yada yada. No, we're here.
Yeah. So then that point there, as the motions start happening, that's just an issue of Tan basically just engaging in the easing it onto specific letters to start spelling effectively a greeting as casual as if Reiko was just texting Yuki, just as an aside, that's sort of the opening that Tan is going to go with here.
All right. Here is how we are going to do this. Reiko.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look over your sheet for a second here. There it is. That's probably a good one for you. got a plus in those. I think what way we're gonna do this is, I'll let you do this as insight because you are trying to find the right words for someone that you know well. So roll an insight for me and with Tan's help. So
Mhm.
with advantage. Okay, so it's a 22 and a 23.
By the roll of the die, Reiko's a good girlfriend.
Okay. What's the first thing that Reiko says to Yuki through this medium?
Hmm. So whenever they were doing the seances together, Reiko would kind of always open up with a little bit of a silly icebreaker because as much as, she takes, the whole death and learning about it thing very seriously, she is, a little bit of a silly person and would always ask, something along the lines of like, how's your health or something like that. It's like, how are you doing? You feeling good? And so she will actually basically ask, how are you feeling?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, kind of double effective given the state of the
Yeah.
lady right here, right now.
You go over the symbols on the Ouija board to say to Yuki, Genki desu ka?
Mm-hmm.
And she gets to saying saying Genki, and then fully lets go of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes a deep breath. And kind of like backs away a little bit from it. Takes another deep breath. And like shakes her head and stands up. For a second, you think that she's going to like talk herself out of doing this. And then she goes over like into kind of like the kitchenette area,
Mm-hmm.
comes back with a lighter and lights the candle by the Ouija board. No way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. No way. She lights the candle, sits back down, and she does one of those kind of like shoulder roll things to kind of like shake herself out,
Mm-hmm.
and then picks it up again and starts to move it again.
Mm-hmm. On Tan's side, is there any particular thing that you want from me skill wise to aid in this?
Give me another sleight of hand check with advantage, and it'll be a lower DC this time.
All right, let's 15.
Okay. Reiko, what we will say that I think from this point forward that you are just able to be a medium for what Reiko to say whatever she needs to. You
Mhm.
will, as the medium for this, have the ability to not say anything if you feel that it is not appropriate. So you are still like the security gate here.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But beyond that, if you want to carry on anything Reiko wants to say, you can do so. And I'm not going to need to. I won't need any more rolls for that.
Right. All right. So, seeing as how she kind of dropped the first question, dropped it in the middle of like the first question there, and she's like doing it all proper now. Uh, you know, the question will be reiterated properly because also she can see her. She looks like shit.
Mhm.
So let's get that out of the way. Like,
Okay.
how are you feeling? And just like kind of asking her that question to get her to kind of reflect on that one a little bit.
Okay. Hmm. Let me think about that for a second.
I'm trying.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right.
Just
Reiko. I'm gonna need a persuasion check from you, but with advantage.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Ugh. My
Um,
rolls are horrible today, except for the last.
except for the
two.
really good ones.
Like-
Nothing average. Um. Yuki kind of like she kind of like does one of those like lip biting kind of grimace grins. It's hard. I'm not sure if I'm describing it properly. And she says to herself, This isn't right. I'm supposed to be the one asking the questions, right? Right. Uh, you don't even need to roll for this. You can tell that she's like avoiding answering that.
Mhm.
All right. Well, okay, fine. I was supposed to ask you a question, right? And so you give me an answer. Okay. I What do I want to ask you? What do I want to ask you? Why'd this happen?
Cave in.
I'm gonna say Tan will override some of these answers to rephrase them.
Okay.
Given the
I was
situation
keeping
here.
it short because it has to be one letter at a time, and I don't
Uh-huh.
want it to take forever in universe.
Basically just accident cave in is what Tan would do, and
Okay.
also
So
that's
you editorialize that answer. Okay.
right. Like
Just as a confirmation here, this is an actual Ouija board. This isn't like a Kokiri sad board.
It is whatever Reiko wants it to be.
It is as I have described. It is a very fancy looking with like gold trim and like excessive detail Ouija board that she paid 500 USD for, and like it's billed as being an authentic antique Ouija board, which is fucking impossible. And
Yeah,
it's not really the point.
yeah. I'm only asking because I know they have a weird variant in Japan.
No, this is a Western one.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
So
in English.
all right. So you you kind of guide Yuki's hands so that it says the phrase accident, and she kind of like stops it there. and says, That's not really what I was asking, but I guess it was. I know it was. I know that. I know you didn't choose for this to happen. She kind of seems to be at a loss in this moment, and does kind of let her hands kind of wander a little bit. So you do have the opportunity to say something further.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to. I'm thinking of effectively saying there's sort of two angles Tan can go. I would suggest going in this instance here. And I'm not sure which one is better. One is to effectively express I'm okay, but I don't think that's really quite right. And another one would be to say I'm sorry. Those are the two angles that Tan would effectively propose at this juncture. Because Tan's read of the situation is that right now Yuki is a bit too distressed about the situation at whole to take this quite as at face value. And
Thinking over here.
Yeah. Was it?
Thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I understand that. I think that it's probably very clear to both of you that Yuki is at least open to the idea that she is receiving messages that she should be listening to, even if the only source of them is from herself. Like, this is the kind of stuff that so far could be passed off as subconscious messages from like
Sure.
herself.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, if you say stuff to her in a way that could be conceived as coming from herself, that doesn't necessarily mean that new thoughts, for example, couldn't occur to her
Right.
that you might want her to act upon.
Mm-hmm. Because the ending point here is we want to give her the information about when/where the funeral is happening. And getting there is the thing, but then the other
I
part
kind
is
of
like,
want to just say funeral. I kind of want to. I feel like maybe just like get to the point on this one. Is just like give her that thought about like, oh yeah, there would be a funeral, and I haven't gotten an invitation.
mm-hmm.
I kind of think I think just kind of getting to the point might be the best way to just convey the idea, because that's the goal.
Yeah, I mean, but Tan looks at Yuki and it's like she's in too much distress right now. There's a different goal at play here at the same time.
I see what you mean.
You
want
yeah,
you want to
yeah.
supplement the objective goal,
right? Because this is explicitly Tananar's sort of like thing is to put those who still remain, put them more at ease about what's going on.
Okay.
And that's where like my like the editorializing came into play, and Tan's like caution about this here.
Okay.
But
right.
We could start with the word funeral and then see what
Right.
see what Yuki's
I just
response
kind of want
is.
to see like how does she respond to that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so if you just spell that out, I am going to make a roll for Yuki here. Ooh, she rolled good.
At least someone is.
So you spell out funeral,
Mhm.
and she stops and starts to blink a few times. And she says, "It has been about a month. That's got to be happening soon, right?" Your family hasn't told me about anything, but that doesn't mean anything, I guess. I I guess I could try calling Sora and ask if she's heard anything, maybe. Um, but I haven't heard anything. All right. Well, okay. Yeah, I guess I can look into that. Maybe I should. If I'm breaking into your apartment to grab your shit, I guess I should find out what's going on with that end.
You doing what now?
uh, she leans back a little bit and she says, actually, so this is a possibility. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for Nea,
Mm-hmm.
if you can tell me, Reiko was the kind of person who was, of course, fascinated by the occult and death and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the topic of like her own death would have come up at some point in conversations with Yuki?
I'm gonna say ironically no,
Okay.
because it's just not really the direction that she was thinking about it. Because like, one, she's young, she's not really
Right.
considering her own mortality very much. And two, she's mostly looking at it from like trying to like piece things together in like, like kind of like there has to be like some kind of grand tapestry going on here and etc.
Gotcha.
And so like her own situation and that probably never really like super occurred to her, or at least not occurred to
Okay.
her in a way that, it's like, hey girlfriend, I want to talk about when I die.
Yeah. I just wanted to double check on that. The possibility of that definitely had occurred to me. Trust me, I've got so many shirts with the Grim Reaper on them, and that was not why. So, so I understand the idea of being fascinated with the subject in general and not how it applies to you personally. So I get that.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably like, you know, it's kind of like, so as a player over here,
mhm.
like I'm kind of presented with the interesting challenge of having a character who thinks death is really cool and fascinating, but also not wanting to promote the idea of dying is good exactly, and especially not self-dying is good.
Mm.
So I'm just kind of
No,
like,
I get that.
let's not.
I do want also to tell people, like, if you do like tell people like to do something at your funeral and stuff, that is totally up to you. I think that is a way of expressing friendship with people, like to let people know, like, oh, if something should happen to me, do a certain thing. I think that is in a way very nice to have that trust between people. But if the fact that it hasn't come up with Reiko makes perfect sense to me, and that's what Yuki says in this moment. She now actually asks a question, which is, all right, well, so it's happening, but I mean, we never talked about that. I mean, Not what would happen if it happened to one of us. Just like, trying to talk to people, just the spirits in general. All right, what do you... What? I still can't believe I'm doing this. What do you want me to do?
Effectively, I would say like please come, like
Yeah.
basic, just that,
Mhm.
So in my head, I'm thinking, Ike, gambate. Just
Ike,
go.
Ike kudasai,
Hmm.
or either way.
Basically, just like wishing her encouragement to go, as opposed
Yeah,
to
in a nice sounding
in a
way,
positive
Yeah.
way.
not in a desperate sounding way.
Yeah, exactly.
I gather
Sure,
you. Okay.
Yeah.
She 10. You know what? Make a performance check for me with advantage.
That's what I was looking for this whole time.
Mhm.
Okay, 21.
There you
Nice.
go.
'Cause that
Um,
means yeah.
Yuki starts crying when this happens. Like there's she cries in the way of someone who has probably been doing a lot of it in private and has been trying to stop doing it recently. And now the dam just kind of breaks. And tears start streaming down her cheeks. She sniffles in a very undignified way, and starts to try and wipe it away.
The camera's in profile, so you don't actually see her eyes, but then you see the tears. You know,
see the tears, yeah.
exactly.
They're just like the shot of the shot of the chin as the tear comes down from the top of the screen. Exactly.
It drops right on the shoot. I keep afraid of the name of that thing now.
Planchet.
Planchet.
Yeah, the planchet. It drops on the planchet. On the lens.
It drops.
Out of
It drops on the Kate Blanchett. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where the stereo kicks on and starts playing Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers.
No, would not play that. No, absolutely not.
yeah, I don't know what that song is. So
I don't either.
Don't be ridiculous. It starts playing Living Dead Girl like Rob Zombie.
Okay. I was like, has nobody seen Ghost?
I have, but no.
I have, but Living Dead Girl is a better song.
I have, but also no. That's the wrong context for this.
I've never seen Ghost. I've seen the episode where they reference Ghost of Community more times than I've seen Ghost.
Fair
enough. All right, but
yeah, so Yuki is full on crying, and she kind of like wrenches her jaw shut to try and not just like let out any sobs, but she kind of nods jerkily in agreement. Okay. I'll go. Yeah. I really miss you. I really miss you, and I wish that. I wish I'd been a little bit more like you. Just felt easier to say that more often. But I'll go. Okay. I'm gonna roll one more thing over here. Hang on.
I think we know that now they're rousing Ganbate Kudasai kind of in the situation here. It's kind of
No, I'm gonna roll a little. We'll call it a save for her. Okay. So she stops for a second and ooh, holy shit. Reiko, you're of course watching this with full attention. There is just the briefest of moments where Yuki kind of lifts her head up, and you can tell looking at her that she is so like caught up in everything that is happening right now, uh, that she's not like even like looking at anything. But by coincidence, her head kind of turns exactly in your direction. Tan, you're watching this from directly in front of her, and you can tell that like Yuki is not actually seeing anything except like her own tears at this point.
Right.
But by coincidence, Yuki looks directly at you, Reiko, and she, this kind of wry grin breaks through her tears for a second, and she says, "Do you want me to wear that dress that you got me?"
It looks good on you.
She, if you do, assuming Tan that you actually that you do carry that over,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yuki chuckles a bit to herself, and through a few sniffles, and she says, "Okay, for you, I'll wear it. Okay." Oh God. Oh, you better have Kleenex in here, I swear.
I was just like,
right.
yeah, I was gonna say like just right where it is.
At this point, she like fully like backs away from the table, and slides out the chair from it, and she goes and kind of cleans herself up. She seems like to be done with this thing.
Yeah.
Like she.
In all of this,
it's easy to tell that she needed something from this, and she got something out of it at least.
In all of this, I'm gonna have Tan just check Reiko to make sure that corporeally and otherwise, that there's nothing happening to indicate there's like a problem developing from her being, too close for too long kind of thing.
Okay. We'll do a couple things here.
Sure.
Reiko, make a wisdom saving throw, and Tan, make a perception check.
All right.
I rolled low, but I still got 12.
I rolled a 4, so
Okay.
I rolled low.
Reiko, you are in the, it's not the appropriate term, but in the scientific sense, you are okay. Tan, you, even with your low roll, can tell that. But in terms of like Reiko,
nothing seems immediately wrong to Reiko.
Right. You're not oozing ectoplasm or anything like that. In terms of how you're doing emotionally, that's up to you.
So through this whole thing, I'm going to say that Reiko started off in the corner of the room while Yuki was moving around, and then as she sat down and started to manipulate the board and all that other kind of thing, Reiko couldn't help herself but just kind of stroll over and sit in one of the empty chairs opposite.
Okay.
And she had like her usual goofy smile on through the whole thing. When the tears really started to come, she kind of like kept the smile, but there was actually some sadness behind her eyes. Like she never stopped smiling through the whole thing because it's just kind of who she is. But it is, it's pretty clear to Tan that, it's not just, her generally positive outlook that's sitting here. There's also, some weight on her mind.
Yeah, Skitch. The role that I asked you to make was literally just like, okay, is Reiko about to turn into, a banshee or something like that? Something dire. I think that in your career field and knowing Reiko and gotten to know Reiko in the last few weeks, that it's no role necessary to understand that. So.
Yeah. Still, like Tan has been consistently on edge this entire time, just because this is something that is risky on many levels, and Tan is just sort of like, okay, either Yuki leaves before we do, or we leave before anything else, before emotions get too strong for the time being. So at this point, Tan is mostly paying attention to Reiko, while Yuki kind of cleans herself up and kind of tends to other things.
Right. Well, message delivered. Hopefully she's feeling a little better. Guess we'll see her at the funeral.
Right. Actually, going to the funeral, I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh, let's say, let me actually get the voice. Let me get the voice effect on there. It's like, like, right. Actually, attending the funeral. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, that won't be emotional at all. Yeah.
It's like the risk, the added risk of being near your physical body at the same time. Just like, all right.
Well, Reiko's body won't be there.
That's right. They never found it. There you go. Problem solved. That's solves the problem of these
nothing
ghosts.
to worry about, guys.
I aim to please.
No, but in any case, like, if once it kind of seems like the rest of this will kind of like resolve itself, Tam will look to Reiko and just sort of suggest, like, well, whenever you're ready, we can retreat back and continue the plans for the actual funeral itself.
Probably best to just go. I was thinking about maybe slipping a note into her bag, but that might be a bit much.
When Jerome and I were working over at the site, we forged some emails and messages and such, so I'm not above that per se, but if you feel like...
Not saying like in those terms. Just, well, she's had her good cry. She's found some resolve. I don't think kicking her emotionally right now would be a good idea.
That is a fair assessment there. Let us return and continue our planning then.
All right. Reiko will, she's not going to be like particularly active about it. She'll just kind of like, it's like, all right, let's go, and just kind of let Tan walk through first and take one last look at Yuki in the moment. And just kind of silent mouth, love you. And then just kind of quietly walk out.
Why did I roll that? Reiko, give me a perception check.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry, that beats your passive. That's out loud here.
As you
dare
go
you.
out the door, you hear Yuki say, "I love you."
Nice.
Ouch.
Reiko will smile and just kind of walk away.
I had the idea of like maybe, and then I rolled a nat 20 for her to.
Of course, because of course.
Of course.
Okay. Oh God. Oh. I'm like giddy with the emotion right now. Okay. Oh. All right. You guys finish up your business there. And you start to head back to Limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, our artsy investigation team, you guys, I think this is about the point that you have been finishing up your research, essentially. So what you wanted to do with that, I guess, let me know, and you
All
guys
right,
can
so
figure out how to follow through on stuff.
All right, the one question I have is there
Mhm.
any bit of news that would indicate that one thing I was sort of looking for, I don't know if I made this clear or not, but one of the things I was actively looking for was to see if there was not like sort of speculation so much, but if there were any reported incidents of like an accident or health issues that Celia had around that time. If not, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Like the other stuff's good too. I'm glad it looked. I came across that also, but I'm curious if there was anything that made it into the newspapers of that sort, like accident reports or what have you.
I will say, you rolled.
I rolled a 20
okay, you
total.
rolled a regular investigation before.
Yep.
So you got that stuff.
If you want me to roll again to narrow it down, I'm happy to do so. Obviously.
All right. So for this specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you roll another investigation with advantage.
Okay.
Because we'll say like your general thing was good. So for a very specific thing.
Well,
okay,
15 because it's a 15 or
very
15.
very average.
Yes.
Would this have been reported? You are not able to find anything about a specific incident.
That's fair
around
enough.
That time.
All right. Cool. Then I have other things I could look into, but I can't do them from the mortal world.
Okay.
Because Gideon would have no idea where to look in the mortal world for this information. So
Roger.
hell, I'm not sure where I would start realistically.
I want to check social media, specifically her like Facebook or MySpace or whatever she might be using.
All right.
I figure I've hung out enough with Reiko to know these are things.
Dentalian, roll an investigation check with disadvantage because you are a boomer using social media. So
investigation.
Looks like you got disconnected
wait a
from
minute. How
Abeyance.
did I not end up? Hold on. For some reason, it booted me out of the game. Let me do this again.
Ah.
Yeah, I just looked at there. Yeah, I just looked at. I was like,
there you are. There you are.
Okay. That's weird. Let me try this again.
Okay. So that's a 7 that you rolled, because that's with disadvantage.
So the Prime Minister really does have, or it really is keeping boner pills away from Americans so that they don't have bigger dicks than the British.
Yep.
Really good to know.
huh.
Thank you for that tonal whiplash over there, Eric.
So yeah, no luck on your end either, I'm afraid. You try to find stuff, and it's like, look, a lot of social media sites are not good for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I remember when Facebook was actually like, a good website, kinda. So it was about.
There are apparently
it was about
800 Cecilia Teagues on Facebook.
I think it was around like 12 years ago that I thought it was an okay functioning site, and
I've never used Facebook or so.
I mean, like, there's a reason I don't use it. Like, well, there's multiple reasons I don't use Facebook. So,
But yeah,
so many reasons. But yeah, I'm afraid no luck on that. Indeed.
Eric only nominally exists on the internet.
Yeah, mostly just do this.
Right. Okay.
So,
Jerome, yes.
So, my thoughts. One, has it ever been reported that she's disappeared or is suspected dead yet?
You look for updates on that. It's been, let's see, a bit over a week since you guys had been to the village, and it had been known that, like, oh, her neighbors report her missing, but, like, we don't really know anything about that in order to actually properly report if this is an actual missing persons case. It does seem as if rumors of some kind are starting to circulate a little bit. You're able to find, like, a couple of Jerome, you basically, like, find, like, a Reddit board of people, like, just kind of like discussing as, like, oh, have you guys heard about this kind of thing? But it is very much at just kind of the rumor stage of, like, oh, this painter is apparently, like, missing. Do you think she's been kidnapped? It's like, guys, she probably just went on some sort of, like, artist excursion thing, whatever. She'll be back later. And then there are people who are like, she went to Mars, and all sorts of stuff up and down the
Hell yeah.
Up and down the set of, like, viable theories about it, and also just a bunch of people just dismissing it as not a thing that is even happening.
Hey guys, are Sasquatch a thing? Because it says here that she was kidnapped by circus folk Sasquatch.
No, at this point, like, Jerome is already logged in. It's like, you fools! Have you see what she's painted? She was taken by the Owlman of Cornwall.
Oh no!
No,
I've heard of an Owlman, but there's this Mothman who is apparently running for president.
but no, that would have been that would have been easy because, like, okay, then maybe there would be a meeting where her friends would be going to. So now we got to do this the hard way, which is, Jerome was going to try and look through the alumni association things for anything relating to Celia Teague and kind of like her in-group while she was in college.
In her in-group? Ooh. Through the Alumni Association?
Because that's, like, the only place I can think of where she might have met some other fellow artists that would be like, or her friends would be.
I think that the only real way information you're going to be able to get from that, and this is something that would be pretty easy to find, I just don't know if it'd be very helpful, is like any clubs or associations and the like that she belonged to. And I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot beyond specifically that, and that's going to be open to interpretation for you. Like, I'll just say, like, yeah, you can find it when you're, like, looking into stuff that associated with her, like, university time. That's like, oh yeah, in 2000, God, what, she was in her, so yeah, like class of 2000-ish or whatever it is, based on the time span that you guys are in. You're able to find, like, okay, she was in this society and that one and so on. Maybe and also you're able to find, like, a few articles from the time, because she was, even in university, starting to develop a reputation for her the quality of her work.
Okay, that's somewhere to go on. While looking through this, does it mention if she was part of, like, a sorority or something?
No.
damn. That would have been my next go-to of people who actually would have known her.
Mhm.
It's like it's starting to like we might actually just have to like make it very apparent that there was a break-in or like that she is in fact gone, so that we can actually get a funeral going, so we can find out who actually knew her. It's,
You know,
Jerome's like, Gideon, what's the policy of letting the mortals know that somebody has died? I think we kind of need to speed things along here.
Huh.
Well, we need to find a body for that to happen, don't we?
Not legally.
I've given you guys so many other leads to follow than this
I know.
stuff.
Oh no, I know.
I know.
Don't worry about it.
Wait, you expect me to follow a lead when I can just make up my own bullshit?
I'm not going to make up backstories for college students that she went to school with.
The important.
I'm drawing a line. Stop following this bread trail. I didn't lay out the breadcrumbs.
Stop baking your own bread trail here, okay?
Okay, there's like at this point, I think our only real lead is to what the fuck was his name? Fucking track down Reg. Like, that is the only other like weirdness going on in that area that could possibly be related to Cecilia.
Okay. I'm going to rule that you guys, because this is the impression that I get from you guys sharing ideas based on what you're able to find at this location, that you guys decide to head back to base to discuss this further and to conduct further research from the other side.
That was what I was going to suggest. Yes.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
I think that you have reached a
Like,
dead end on this particular route,
Right.
and that you're going to need to circle back.
yeah,
So
like short of like breaking into a number of hospitals in London trying to find medical records for Cecilia Teague, no, I got nothing, and that's just that's not realistic.
Actually, I'm curious. Thinking back on our little tour with what's his fuck
Yates?
Yates.
Thank you. Yeah. He seemed pretty excited to find a Cecilia Teague that he didn't know about. Is this because he knows she's dead and isn't making anymore? Or am I just grasping at straws here?
The impression that I got from last session was that he didn't even fucking know she was dead.
The impression I got was that he wanted it because he wanted it for himself.
Well, I mean, the big thing is that she hadn't been sending stuff to the gallery in quite some time. She'd been doing local stuff, and this is like so. There's a lot of stuff he would not have seen, and he's not in like constant contact with her either. So
he had been regularly reaching out to her, but not super frequently.
Okay.
Which was why he was not aware that she was even missing.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he said that I believe I said last time that it had been about 2 months-ish since he had last tried to call her.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even by his recollection. That was from Gideon looking in his phone records.
Right.
So I will pass that. I will pass that on. I will pass on what I found in the records to everybody else. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, just had the sudden idea of like, wait a minute.
Okay.
Did I miss something obvious last week? And
I mean, that is something
I probably did.
That is something we probably we almost certainly, but that was not it. I don't think. At least not by my interpretation.
Nick, he keeps on putting like these like filet mignon in front of us, and we keep on jamming our faces into the trash can.
All right, so
I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, we should probably head back. Yes.
All right. So, a little bit of a time frame check-in.
Mm-hmm.
You guys spent, a couple of days figuring out what you were going to do on that end,
Right.
and then going into the physical realm and doing your stuff.
Yep.
You guys are. A couple sessions ago, we established that it was going to be, about a week before Reiko's funeral. You guys have like a couple days ahead of that to start putting some feelers out in your investigation, to start making plans for said funeral if you want. If you guys want to like launch another operation, you probably don't have time to do that before the
That's
funeral,
fair.
but you can start making preparations for your next one.
Well, there's operations outside of outside of Limbo are things that I don't think I've got an idea of what I would want to do yet. So I would
Right. Like if
I
you
did
knew what you were
wanna-
going to do,
yeah.
you could do it in time, but you've got to like spend time figuring it
Exactly,
out.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
In
No,
universe.
I was going to suggest we bust in to the gallery after hours, but it has been a week and I haven't had a chance to sit down and think about what I'd actually want to look for. So that would be largely us like flailing around and causing Nick more headaches.
I will say that yes, if you're planning to do a heist, we can do something like that, but you better have a plan.
And important, I was going to come up with a plan, but like I said, it's been a week.
I understand. Hey, stuff happens for all of us. So.
You better have a plan because I don't. So
Yes.
I have some ideas.
If you're,
for that
let me
regard.
put it this way: if you're going to do a heist, you have to tell me so that I can prepare the session for you.
that is fair.
Yeah, if that's something you want to pursue, I have some ideas for things we could do to kind of get in, but like that's something we need to commit to. We probably can't do it right now.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so I'm going to do this on two different fronts here again.
Okay.
But while you guys are in limbo and you guys are figuring stuff out, is there a particular angle you want to be approaching while using your resources on this end?
All right,
things?
Nick. I
Yes.
don't remember if I asked you this before, so this is maybe me asking for information you've already given me, but I want to double check. All right. According to the records I have access to, Cecilia T is an SNR. My interpretation that means that she did at least briefly show up in Limbo, correct?
Correct.
Okay. According to the records I have, who did she talk to when she was here?
Okay. You get, you're able to pretty easily get a name of the person in Central that she talked to, which I will probably need to generate in order to give to you.
That's
but it's, it's a name you can find.
It's a name I can find. Okay. This is not something we need to do now.
Okay.
I'm just saying what Gideon is going to want to do is he's going to want to interview this person to find out everything that they talked about with Cecilia Teague. Because let's see, maybe Cecilia said something to them that might be helpful.
Okay.
And this is one of those things that Gideon is there going, I should have done this sooner. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
He's a little bit distracted.
Literally, it's literally Gideon is too busy in the groove of hitting the footpaths, investigate. Why did I not talk to people here for? What am I doing? I call myself an investigator. What the hell?
Okay.
Gideon is very disappointed in himself at the moment.
All right. And I think that that's something that you can probably actually do within the time frame that I've set for you guys.
Absolutely.
So.
I figured I'm gonna give you time to think about like any information what I could do.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't necessarily want to do it right now. I'm just saying like, this, and by that I mean this session. I mean, give you.
All right. Understood. We might potentially like retroactively do something based on how things progress.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a flashback type thing, what have you, whatever. It just occurred to me that this is something Gideon should probably do.
All right. Dan, Jerome. If you want me to come back to you, I will.
Bad. Gideon's going to have him sit down.
My brain is soup. Sorry.
Yeah, Gideon's going to have the moment to sit down at the desk, sort of effectively face palm, I guess skull palm.
Skull palm, yeah.
Grab the SNR files, flip through them, and then put a call to Central.
Or actually, does it count as a palm if it's a skeleton hand? Or
I don't. Maybe.
Would it be skull metatarsal or not? Is it? What's skull phalanges?
I'm just gonna say skull palm for simplicity's sake.
It's not-
'Cause I don't have a face to face palm, so you know.
No, metatarsal is feet. Shit, tarsal. I think so.
On Jerome's front, I think he's kind of like exhausted what resources he could possibly use out here in Limbo. He's not as well connected as like Gideon is on that kind of thing. Like he's really much better at doing things on site than he is in researching like this kind of stuff through like headquarters.
Understood. Okay. Then you guys, the three of you are wrapped up in that currently. This is going to be a question now for the group as a whole. Although I will just start with Reiko and Tan, which is okay. Reiko, her funeral is happening.
Yep.
What do you guys want to do for that in preparation for that? And I mean, I'll start with Reiko, which makes the most sense to me in terms of this.
Sure.
So first things first, I'm going to reiterate, because I said this previously, and I want to make sure that everyone remembers this. Since Reiko needs an escort, kind of annoyingly, but understandably, I did decide as a player, and I'm going to make it official now, that she's going to request that Dantalion be the escort on this one.
Okay.
For two reasons. Out of game, one, Reiko and Dantalion is really funny to me, and I want to include you. And two, Dantalion seems like the one who of the group who would probably be most like responsible enough, but also, yeah, go ahead, go hang around with your friends, kind of chaperone.
All right, Italian would be the coolest teacher, is what you're saying. The coolest substitute teacher. I should say.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Then it sounds as though, Eric, that Dantalion consents to that, so that will be an official thing. So you'll actually be there in an official capacity.
Okay.
I'll
put in my my little afterlife whatchamacallit, field trip chaperone badge.
You get a lanyard, right? Okay. Thank you for just reminding everyone of that, Fornea. That's good. Anything else?
Oh,
I have a suggestion.
As far as go ahead.
Do you want to wear anything special?
Also, do you want to be there physically, or do you want to go there ghost form?
She specifically has to go. She specifically has to be a ghost.
Okay.
It's
does that extend to Dan as well?
Dan can be there physically, but it is up to him on.
Do you want me there physically?
I'm gonna go with no on that one. I'm not expecting that to be necessary, because like basically you're more or less there to keep me out of trouble than anything else.
I'm there to keep you from like haunting anyone, basically.
More or less. And
how
so it's like
hilarious as that would be.
Yeah, and messing around with like, oh hey, if someone starts shit, then you can do something about like what the like if that happens, strictly speaking, that's interfering with mortal affairs beyond our scope. So maybe resist the temptation by not allowing the opportunity in the first place beyond less overt means. At least that's my idea here on that front.
Okay.
As for her own preparations, yes, she will head over to the Weavers, and being used to getting sudden costume changes when she's not looking, she just kind of walks in and just like has like a little sign on her back that says, "I'm going to be attending my own funeral. Something appropriate, please." And she walks out the other end of the fulcrum and just kind of has like a Morticia look going on. And she's like, "Sure."
I'll take it. All
Aaron
right.
has to look at it. It's like I would have gone with Wednesday personally, but
What does that have to do with the day of the week?
Shaped like she is, she's going with Morticia.
I just want to know that I appreciate the stealth joke there.
No problem.
I think also in general that in terms of the funerary thing, that Morticia probably makes more sense too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you do that. Tan, any thoughts from you?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
if Tan's not involved with the funeral directly, then Tan's not involved. So they're basically out of the equation for the time being.
Okay. And I guess just a general check for essentially everyone except Reiko and Italian. Do you guys want to attend this as well?
All right. If I will say this, Gideon will, if Reiko wants Gideon to be there, Gideon will make time for it. However,
Right.
Gideon would be very. The idea of a Reaper going to a mortal's funeral seems really freaking weird to him.
Definitely definitely an exceptional case. So
Yeah,
Right.
clearly that's why he'd be willing to do it. But it's like, if there's anything, any help she needs with anything, he'll happily provide it. But
Yeah. Tan
I
won't go. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You go ahead.
Tan won't go unless explicitly asked to do so by
Right.
Reiko. That is kind of Tan's position on that front. Because
Like Reiko's kind of thought on it is like there's like all this investigating stuff going on, and pulling everyone off that to attend her funeral seems really selfish, and
Okay.
especially because like we haven't like known each other like super long, and we're mostly just like coworkers and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of like, all right, I need a chaperone. All right, I picked my chaperone. Like, I don't think the rest of you would have a good time or anything.
that's
And there's
like
a
that
lot of
matters
busy
for
stuff
Tan.
going on.
The
mean,
only go ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I say the only reason I can see Jerome wanting to go is because considering the circumstances of her death and the ongoing SNR things, this seems like it would be a really good time or place for somebody to try to, snatch her soul.
That's a very Jerome way of looking at it, but
But
yeah,
at
so.
at the same time, I also feel like, as Jerome, as somebody who's effectively on parole, can't just up and decide to do
Okay.
that. He would have to be invited to actually come. So if he hasn't been invited to come, then he's not going, even though he might have inclinations about, or, feelings that something bad's about to happen.
All right. That being said, Reiko, I mean, if it does occur to her to want someone there who's more of like a friendly acquaintance, a less professional one, I guess is more the appropriate term, then I don't know, do you think that she would like want someone that she knows from the Fulcrum to come or something like that?
Like, I'm just kind of like over here going, like, inviting someone to come to your funeral that isn't someone you knew in life, that seems just really, really weird to me as a player in the first place. Like,
I'm just leaving the option open for you.
to me as a player, like, the whole idea is very strange. And it's like, no, if, like, I would not invite anyone to do that, like, as a social thing ever. Like, why? It's like, here, come, let's mingle amongst those in misery about my demise. Like, I don't like as a player that makes no sense to me.
I guess if you were going to like a wake, maybe.
I was just saying,
That'd be another thing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the funeral-
That's my point.
Well, part
I
of it
am conflating the terms here, I should say. This is going to be I mean, Reiko will probably be the only one who was actually at the more private funeral. But there is, especially in Buddhist funerary traditions, a wake, and that is more where. And I should have actually established all this stuff. This is actually my bad for not actually sharing all this knowledge. So typically in Buddhist funerary traditions, there is more of a public kind of observance, which is in a way kind of hosted by the departed's family. And so people who were acquaintances and friends can attend to pay their respects and offer their sympathies. And then when it comes to the actual rites, where like the it's not embalming, it's
Interring?
It's
Cremation?
cremating. When the cremation takes place, then like only very close family members are attend that. It's a very important ceremony. But for just the more public one, like that's more the one that a lot of people are going to be showing up for from Reiko's life. So I do apologize for giving the impression that a much more private thing, it was something that I was asking you, like, oh, do you want to go to this kind of thing? Because now that you've put it that way, I do understand. Yeah, I guess that does sound very weird. So that's what I had in my head when I was saying the word funeral. It is more of a wake. So
Okay. All right. All right. If it's a wake, then yeah, I guess Reiko will put out like an open invitation to the idea, but isn't going to like force the issue. So like
Okay.
if anyone wants to come, like player character or otherwise, then cool, sure, fine.
Right. Well, again, Gideon's stances will not actually change Gideon's stance.
Yeah.
Like if Reiko wants him there, he will. Like if you explicitly say I want you to come, then he'll say, sure, I guess. I will do so. But it does seem awfully weird to have a Reaper at a wake or a funeral or anything like that. That's really not
Right.
sort of my role in the mortal world.
I suppose Reiko would like just kind of leave the question open of, do you think that this would be helpful in maybe understanding SNR context, maybe, or whatever? Like, do you think this would be useful in a like professional sense, in some outside thinking way? I know who I'm asking this question to.
okay,
That is an interesting question.
that is an interesting question.
Well, I suppose
If
going as an observer would not necessarily might prove of some use at some point. You are correct. It's still odd. It still seems odd to me as you know, all things considered. But you are right. I'm not strictly in a Reaper's role at the moment. Huh.
All right.
I will have to give this some thought. I appreciate the invitation, however.
Sure.
I think that is the correct phrase, correct?
Good enough.
Good.
it's just very casual. Okay. Yeah, thanks for like correcting my terminology there. That was a totally subconscious mistake error on my part.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Where I was using the inappropriate terminology there. Okay. So all right. If Reiko is kind of putting out more of a generally like, if you feel like attending, then feel free to kind of thing. Then we'll have that. Looking at the time. Okay. So in terms of stuff that you're doing outside of that, Peter, I think that query that you want to launch will retroactively put that in like in the next session.
Cool.
Because I think that there will be some knowledge of value that you can gain from that.
Good. All right, cool.
But I don't want to go into it unprepared.
That's why I brought that up. Yep.
Great.
Figured to give you time to prep something.
My plan here is we're going to basically move things forward to the wake.
Okay.
So if there's something you guys want to either set up or do ahead of time, we can handle it potentially retroactively if you don't think of it right now. But if something does occur to you right now, like, I want to like look into this thing, or I want to specifically do this thing, you can bring it up with me now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I'll think of something like tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Right, yeah. I think at this time we should move along the plot with
Yeah.
Okay. So the day arrives. Reiko, you are attending. Dentine is escorting you in an official capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You are joined by Maple from the Fulcrum, the seamstress,
Right.
and as she kind of joins your group, she is kind of dressed down in a certain respect, kind of like a formal but kind of professional looking black attire. Essentially kind of like as if she were going to be attending it as a living person
Right.
in her station, not drawing too much attention. And as she joins you guys at the crossroads, she says, "Oh, you're wearing it very well, honey. If you need anything, just let me know, and I'll help you. I can get you a stitch, or anything else you need."
Thank you.
All right, everybody ready for the weirdest thing we're gonna do this week?
And you guys sold a painting of an Owlman who was one of you this week.
Tan will just interject there. It's like, oh, the week is still young. There's plenty of time for things to get weirder here.
I suppose it has been more than a week since we talked to the shark. So yes.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing of the month.
I will actually agree with you on that one. That was decidedly odd.
Jerome's like, at this point, I'm taking bets on Izanami showing up.
You guys head out then.
All right.
You have no trouble reaching the area. It is being held in a monastery. When you arrive there, there are a few people in attendance. Wakes of this nature aren't like, everyone comes in a bunch of rows all at once. They tend to be held over like a longer period of time, and people come when they are able to. The family is here usually the entire time, however. So as you get there, you guys see a portrait of Reiko set up. Reiko, it's one of you in your high school uniform, which it doesn't take it very long for it to occur to you that that's because a lot of the time when you were able to dress as you saw fit, you would have been dressed, as you normally would. and your parents probably prefer it if you were remembered this way instead. Sorry.
No, like, don't say sorry. That's going to get me like spiraling about my actual parents and the
I'm
way they
sorry.
wanted me to look as a kid.
Wow, that's quite the choice there. Did you wear that often?
I wore that to school.
Wait a minute, people actually do that here? I
Well,
thought that
the
was
whole
just sort
thing,
of a thing for magazines.
Rob just looked at Mr. Approvingly.
what the portrait isn't telling you is that the skirts are much longer. They go below the knee.
Oh, okay. That's a bit better.
Now, granted, a lot of students will roll them up to make them shorter, but they're designed to be worn below the knee.
Okay.
This is actually true.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, yes, all of that is 100 billion% accurate. just as students in the West violate dress code rules all the time.
As you do.
Reiko, this is probably only going to be really relevant to you. Make a perception check for me with advantage, just to kind of spot some other things of interest.
Here we go.
Ooh.
17. Nice. All right. You see kind of close to the altar, and it's the area where I forget the actual term for it, but there's a basket for kind of offerings of condolence to be made. But towards the altar area of the wake, your parents are greeting people as they come up and offer condolences. Your family is dressed in white, and attendants are dressed in muted professional, there's men who are there in business suits. The women who attend tend to be in plain black dresses. And you spot that your parents are speaking with someone you're not sure if they're either a business associate or a family friend that you just don't remember, or even a distant relative. But with 17 perception, you kind of look over more towards the back area, and you see Sora, your friend that we only really talked about in the first session.
Yep, they were working fast food, as I recall.
Or I think it was a retail thing, but yeah, regardless.
Retail, food service, they're close enough. They're both miserable on the low,
yes.
on the low end of the totem pole.
You see that she is dressed in a black dress, and but you also could see that she is wearing something that is kind of atypical for her, which is a black choker around her neck. That's and if you approach her, you can see that it has kind of studs in it that are shaped like skulls.
Right. Like someone who actually gets it over here.
And I believe something that came up, and correct me if I'm wrong about this. It's okay if this is incorrect. I believe we have established that Reiko has a brother.
I think so. That's a detail. It's been a while. That sounds correct.
Okay. You also see your brother towards the head of the area, and he's kind of like, glancing in a way that can only be awkward between like these people that, like you, he doesn't really recognize. But he is also occasionally kind of looking over in the corner to where Sora is. Your parents are not. They're just kind of focused on like the formality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you are here at the wake, and you're here. There is an area that is kind of outside of the main room for the formalities, where there is also like food provided for some guests, and there are a few more people kind of lingering in this area than are that have like already gone in and made their offerings and made their condolences, and then have kind of come back out, and a few of them are intermingling as well. So, is there anything you guys want to do?
I think we can all guess
information?
what the biggest priority in Reiko's mind is right now.
Okay. Make
Where
an
is she?
insight. Make an
Or
insight
can we
check.
see her, rather?
Make an insight check for me, Reiko.
There we go.
Okay, unnatural 20. You have the thought of where is she? And you kind of, after a while of kind of standing in the same area as her, realize that Sora is thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you wait for some time. And eventually you hear a bit of a commotion coming from the other room. And sure enough, heralded by that noise, Yuki steps in to the monastery wearing a Victorian morning dress, complete with an umbrella and the kind of frilled, veiled cap on her head.
Reiko is going to just kind of like hop and clap.
Aww. The rest of you, even if you roll nat ones on your perception checks, can immediately see like eyes darting over towards the front of the room as Yuki enters. She kind of shares a little look with Sora at the front, and they kind of like she just kind of gives her a little nod, and Sora kind of like nervously smiles and nods back at her. And then Yuki starts to make her way up towards the altar.
Is that her? It's got
That's her.
style.
Yep.
Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this is about to get good."
Okay. You guys see as Yuki starts to move up that Reiko, your mother, starts to like kind of move. But she's cut off by your brother, kind of like very kind of hastily like shuffling forward.
Oh, intercepted.
And he, kind of like loudly goes, "Oh, thank you for coming. Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you for coming here. It means a lot that you're here and stuff." And so kind of like disrupting the planned reception for Yuki. And then after making the very loud, like, like, oh, it's nice. Yes, it's nice to see you. Thank you for coming to pay your respects. Greeting. He then kind of like leans in a little bit closer to her, and there's a bit of a whispered conversation going on between them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
After some time, he kind of escorts her up to the altar, where there are some very, very, very stiff and very, very, very short, words between Yuki and your parents. Just like I am sorry for your loss. Thank you, and that's just kind of it. And she, deposits her own offering in the area. She pauses at the portrait of you and kind of almost rolls her eyes at it.
Reiko will roll her eyes with her.
And then she heads back the way that she came. Your brother, parts from her at that point, and Yuki ends up going over by Sora, who kind of goes into nervous girl chatter mode, I guess is the way of putting it. Like, oh my god, I can't believe, oh my god, what the hell is that? Where did you get that? What the hell? Okay, now they're going to kill you. Come on, kind of. That's so cool, but oh my god! And sort of drags her out to the more common area for where like the other attendees are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've watched all that unfold.
I have duties, otherwise I'd go and listen to the conversation. It's supposed to be making sure nothing explodes.
Wow, Italian's being responsible.
But I want to make things explode.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, I just cast Fireball at the.
Not
All right.
Not that you know Fireball, but
Well, it was an
I don't
interesting
know Fireball.
It was an interesting campaign, guys, but
rocks fall, everybody dies.
yeah. The universe implodes.
Oops.
So this is how the world ends. Not with a bang, nor with a whimper, but with an oops. So.
I mean, didn't really expect anything else.
The second he starts to get acid, like the ghost of the Shin Sensugumi just show up and like arrest us all.
Essentially.
Nope, this has gotten entirely too silly.
No, stop that. Silly. And a bit suspect, I think.
What would you guys like to do now? If anything.
We're all in soul forms here, correct?
You know
Yes.
what? You know what? You know what? You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Reiko's parents have turned this entire thing from what it should be to an excessively stuffy affair because that's the way they roll and not the way that the person who this is about would roll. And it's like, okay, I understand. Some formality is fine. But, like, I don't know half these people. And this seems to be like they're making it about them more than anything else. It's the feeling I'm getting here.
I won't ask you for a roll on this. Independent of how you understand your parents have reacted to your passing, the thing that they are doing now in terms of the ceremony is because this is the way this is the thing that they are supposed to do in their minds. So it's
This is kind of Reiko like kind of rattling her thoughts out at Dantalion. One of the few times where Reiko is actually kind of irritated as opposed to,
Okay. Well, Dan's
ridiculously
going to
chipper.
respond with, I mean, whether that's the case or not, but funerals are for the living, not for us. To help them deal with things.
Mm,
I mean, I don't know too much about this particular tradition here. I'm pretty Western-centric, unfortunately. But,
yeah,
I don't know, it seems like
know.
a pretty traditional thing, and, it's
I
what would be
know.
expected.
That's why it sucks.
Speaking of which, where? Oh,
No,
sorry,
no.
all right.
Let me finish here. I'm not done.
Okay.
That's why it sucks. Everything with them is tradition, tradition, tradition. They don't even like the fact that I have a girlfriend.
Well, you absolutely should not knock anything over. That would be just absolutely the worst thing you could do.
See, I was
And I
thinking that I
definitely
should
should
absolutely.
not. And you
I was-
definitely should not be doing it when I turn and face this direction, and
See,
I turn
I was
in another
thinking that I
direction.
should definitely not cause my mother's dress to catch under her heel and just give her a bit of a faux pas. I should totally not do that.
I'll mage hand that to happen.
all right. Dantalion, make a sleight of hand check using your intelligence stat instead of your dexterity stat.
All right.
So a +1 to your sleight of hand, essentially.
Actually, my intelligence is +2.
Right. So let's see. You're
That's 12.
yeah. Okay, that is one higher. Good.
I mean, my casting stat is charisma. I could use that if you want.
There is a what kind of
He's a
caster are
sorcerer.
you?
He's a
Oh,
sorcerer.
it is your charisma stat. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's another +1 on top of that.
Yeah.
All right, good to know in the future. You guys see, there is a little bit of like very restrained bickering going on between Reiko's mother and brother for a moment. Just like you should not have let her come up here. And he was like, "What? Come? She wanted to pay her respect. I was gonna say no." And then when she turns away from him after making her like final points and she kind of turns on her heel, and the hem of her dress catches on her heel, and she does stumble, and she manages to catch herself, but she kind of like very noisily has to slam her hand on a bench in order to prevent herself from falling over. And then she shoots back up.
Oh,
Just
now
herself.
who's looking? Oh, now look at who's ruining these proceedings, mother. Someone's
Okay.
not acting like a complete stiff, huh? It's like people need to just express themselves or do things in the moment.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Speaking of which,
And this is why I picked Italian.
so Jerome kind of goes up to Reiko. He's like, I want you to think of your favorite moment with Yuki. Just put it in your head for a moment.
Doing this to me?
No. Oh,
I thought you said Italian, and my brain's like, why are you doing this to me?
not to you, Reiko.
I'm just imagining Reiko.
I've never actually met her. Why are you doing this to me?
Well, you guys have this shared pranky moment, and then Jerome comes up to the two of you. I want you to just think of your favorite moment with Yuki. And Dan's like, me? No, obviously not you. Oh, the energy.
So does Rico do that for a moment?
Thinking.
Okay, so when Rico finally has the moment, Jerome kind of just puts his feathered hand on her like forehead, and then he points to like the middle of the stage where that big or the large photo of Rico is, and he casts silent image, and he puts that up there instead. Like
Alright.
like it sort of just unfurls from like a pole above the of the
Nice.
thing, and it's like a like a
Like a
like a
projector?
scroll poster kind of thing.
Jerome, there are children present.
No.
No.
I had
I
that
am
thought-
saying as the DM,
I had
no,
that thought,
not
but
that kind of
I
picture.
very quickly thought better of it.
Yeah, something sweet,
Um,
not something.
No. All right, so I'm going to say that when they both were in high school, because they did go to the same high school, and like their career paths were different. So even though they went to like the same university, they had to make time for each other outside of that, as opposed to otherwise. Uh, there was a period where there was a field trip to Mount Fuji, and they just kind of bailed away from the class and just kind of looked over, uh, you know, the landscape together, just kind of like on a hilltop. And they were both totally okay with accepting the consequences of this.
Hmm.
So it was just like a moment of mutual, like, we're doing this our way.
This tender moment of mutual young love is what is portrayed up on the in front of everybody, like as like as some sort of projection that so it doesn't look like it's just like actually there and
Mhm.
like it's being broadcasted or something.
So you're, to clarify, you are making essentially a hologram appear or a projection appear that
Like
anyone
a
can
Yeah,
that
a
Like
anyone,
a-
that
projection
anyone
of the
can see.
memory.
yeah, like a flat like a flat kind of like projection that anybody could like see.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. Okay.
Like it's sort of like somebody set up a prank here.
Dude, it's one thing to it's one thing to something completely like possible, but this is a little bit on the pale. Coming from a guy from beyond the pale.
Jerome is a poltergeist.
Yeah.
This is on brand for Jerome.
It
I don't
is.
know
Okay.
if I think it's a good idea, but it's on brand.
Jerome, make a sleight of hand check with your intelligence modifier instead of your dex modifier, which will
Alright.
increase your proficiency by 1 with this.
Okay, so sleight of hand with my intelligence modifier. You said.
Yeah, so +1 to your sleight of hand. It'll be an overall +3.
All right, so let's do this. How bad is this?
That's
Nope,
very
I'm
bad.
gonna do that again.
Take your one precision reroll. That's better.
17. All right. You are able to look around and spot a window that you make it seem as if the beamed projection is coming through, at least, as it goes up on the wall, kind of overtaking, or at least overwhelming the perspective of the portrait. And it is an image of Yuki and Reiko as they, lean over a guardrail and look out over the landscape by Mount Fuji. The wind blowing through their hair and kind of touching shoulders as they both lean together to look out over the view. Reiko's mother fully goes into a constrained fury, and starts to stomp out down to the open area. Let's see here. What do you guys do?
Boy.
All right. One for style, but we might have to. There might be consequences back home for that one.
Am I actually here?
I mean,
your choice.
yeah, but
That's
it is up to you.
I know. I'm just debating whether it's a good idea for Gideon to actually be here at this point.
Gotcha.
You said you weren't going to come unless you were specifically invited.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
There was an open invitation from Reiko.
It was an open invitation, but it wasn't a specific request. It's probably for the. I'm gonna say Gideon's not here, simply because I don't want to actually have to go into dress down Jerome mode at the moment.
Gotcha.
It's better if I hear about this secondhand, I think.
Right.
Back to the office. It was just, Gideon just has this sudden chill. Oh no.
Oh boy.
All right.
Jordan only keeps this up going for like maybe a minute before he shuts it off because like obviously this is something that was very much a just kind of fuck you to Reiko's parents.
Everybody here make a perception check. And this will flat out define, like, if you're here, make the perception check.
Yeah,
So,
I'm definitely not here.
okay. Okay.
I'm definitely just being like, this is good. We're going to get in trouble for this, but this is good.
Jerome is very much like, you know what? I followed the rules of my entire life, and this is where it got me.
Dentalion, you say that, and as you turn to look at Reiko and Jerome, instead you see a short, pale girl looking up at you. She is wearing black cargo pants and a Misfits t-shirt.
Okay.
And she looks up at you and she says, "Hey, Dentalion."
Do I know this girl?
I'm going to say it's up to you if you've seen her before or not. I'll put it to you this way. If you had met her before, then you would 100 billion% remember it.
Okay. Oh, shit! Hey, how's it? Oh, shit.
Jerome, you're not in the monastery anymore. You're in the courtroom.
Oof. And he looks up and he sees the a very angry person, I think.
You see the judge in their billowing black robes that make their form seem to be everything, and yet the shape of their person seems to not be there at all. There is a curled powdered wig capping the robes with no face underneath.
He drove looks up, he's like, Your Honor?
It seems that you have seen fit to interfere with proceedings that you are not fit to.
Jerome just kind of looks up, but he looks down. He's like, I won't deny it.
And Reiko,
Mm-hmm.
your eyes follow your mother as she starts to storm down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And as she passes you and you kind of turn your head to follow her, you lose sight of her suddenly. And there is a man standing next to you, dressed in a fantastically fashionable white suit. And this man speaks to you in a quiet, gentle, but also very chipper tone. And he says, well, I hope that that was everything you could have hoped it to be.
Ah,
What was?
Well, the ceremony, you got to have the person you wanted to attend it, and in a way that it seemed like was very nice. Well, nice for you, which is really the thing that matters, you know.
Do I know you?
I'd say that we're intimately familiar with one another. Just that
Head tilt.
not Reiko, I've been with you your entire life. But I'm even more with you now that you're dead.
Squint.
As
You're
you
not my
peer,
uncle, are you?
as you peer at him, make a perception check.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah.
24.
It takes a while for your mind to register it. And when it does, you realize that it's the most obvious thing in the world, yet your eyes just kind of refuse to see it at first. This man wearing this very nice white suit, almost as if he is attending an incredibly schmaltzy party, doesn't have a face. He has a little mustache across a bony upper jaw over uncovered teeth. And his skull is looking at you with eyeless sockets. And despite the fact that he doesn't have a face, you can somehow tell that the bare skull is smiling comfortingly at you.
Rega will kind of squint. Unless you're my uncle, I don't have a guess.
I am... Well, you can call me Shin for right now.
Spooky.
Yes, very. I'd say that you have that kind of I'll call that a compliment coming from you, though. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, what can I do for you?
He turns away for a second, and you get the sense that he seems kind of sad. And he says, I'm afraid that what I wanted from you, you can't give me anymore. I had hoped that when we got to see each other for the first time, you would have been a lot older. I know that you were looking forward to seeing me, in a way. But there's so much that I can't show you or give you that I would have liked you to have gotten first. But we can't change the hand that fate deals us. So you're just going to have to make the best of it. And I hope that you do, in ways like you did today. Dentalian.
Yeah. So I'm aware this doesn't look good, but consider this.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's in a much better mood now.
She actually kind of giggles a little at that and then puts her hand over her mouth. I mean, I can't really dispute that. You're right. I mean, I don't think, and I think I should know, that the point of a funeral isn't to make people feel happy. Buddhist funerals, let me clarify. Of course, there are plenty of cultures where that actually entirely is the point. And I think that Reiko would have wanted one of those kinds of events. So, to your point, you're right. I think that for her, this was a good thing. I'm actually not here for that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm technically mostly just here for Reiko. I
Right.
think that, but you know, like you're her tether in this moment, so you're kind of getting caught up in it right now.
Yeah, I probably should have stopped some of that.
It's okay. While I'm here,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we could talk about stuff.
Well, hope not too much blowback's coming back on Reiko for this. I mean, it was kind of
Oh,
not
Dan,
really. I mean, she didn't really have a say in a lot of what was going on. So.
Dan, I don't really concern myself with that kind of thing. I've got people for that.
Right.
You're
I'm one of them. Gotcha.
You're one of the people.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess in a way, yes, this will come down on you a bit, but it's just not going to come directly from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that I can navigate.
What was it you were saying about? While we're on the topic of making things better. I mean, what do you think the point of a funeral is?
Oh, like I was saying to Reiko, they're really more for the living. Because, we're dead. Doesn't really matter what happens to us at that point. Like here. And, yeah, I know. It wasn't just for Reiko. Like, clearly her brother and her girlfriend needed a bit of levity here, too. Like...
I'd say you gave him I'd say that Jerome gave them more than a little of it.
Yeah. And frankly, like, I've never known a woman that looks like her mom does that didn't need a little bit of embarrassment to lighten up.
You really are funny, Dan.
I try to be.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Especially when you're getting yourself in trouble. Which is what you did for a lot of your life.
Yeah, I think I think I need a sandwich. You want a sandwich? There's a buffet over here. Let's go look.
Dan.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm here now. Don't you understand like the position you're in? Don't you have anything you want to ask me?
Yeah, but I don't want to know the answer, if that makes sense. Like, I'm kind of gonna be honest, kind of terrified of the answer. Like,
Dan,
Yeah.
Do you know how many people have been terrified of the answer?
Precisely
Yeah,
3.
but boss, I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Hmm?
I'm a fucking coward. And I really mean that. Like, there's a
Dentalian.
reason why I'm always joking about shits, because I'm scared
Dentalian.
shitless.
Dentalian. I have met knights of the highest order. I have met war heroes. I have met saints that have all been afraid to learn what you're afraid to learn. Being terrified of finding it out and not wanting to go towards the answer doesn't make you a coward. It makes you human.
He sort of looks himself up and down.
That's not why you're the way you are, Dan.
I know. Okay, boss, seeing as you want to tell me, I guess I'll ask the question. Where am I going?
She smiles and she says, "Kid, that's an answer I can't give you."
Okay, seriously, we just had this really deep heart to heart, and oh man.
Keep your chin up.
Okay, boss.
Jerome, the
Yeah,
judge
I'm
is
here.
looking down at you. Can you explain yourself?
Jerome is he has his hands like on, I guess, like what would you call it, the like the box, like you
Oh,
yeah.
the stand or the
I guess the stand works. Yeah, he's kind
it's
of
not the stand. You're right. That is a different kind of box. I'm not sure what it's called.
yeah, he's kind of got his alley hands on there, and he's looking down, and he's like, for all my life, I followed the rules, and I did what was expected of me, and I looked the other way when others weren't happy, and I let others do things to them that were untold. And I did it because everyone told me that was what I was supposed to do. And that's what got me here. My own indecision and unwillingness to take account of my own actions is why I'm here.
This is an accurate assessment.
And then he looks up. So I had an option to, for one moment, give someone an act of pure happiness and to let them know and let the people in their lives know who they really were. And I did it. And he looks down, and that was probably, I don't know if that was wrong or not. It was against the rules, obviously. But I don't know if it was wrong. But I know, after spending all this time trying to help people with these things, that always following the rules isn't the right thing to do.
The judge stares down silently at you for a couple of moments. And just when it seems like you're getting like an unspoken prompt to, you better fucking keep talking, you see the wig tilt down and you hear a shuffling of papers. You know the judge doesn't need papers for notes, but that's the appearance that it gives off in this moment. And when the judge raises its head, it says, "You are aware of the fact that there is someone attempting to break a much greater and more sacred set of rules, the ones that you have just fractured. Are you not?"
Jerome is literally like, let's be fair. I didn't fracture those rules. I flagrantly disobeyed them. He's very much like, I know what I did, and there is a little bit like of an apology in that, and like, I'm sorry that I put you in this position.
The judge
But-
folds their hands and it kind of starts to.
But
lean
this is
towards
on
you.
me. I
Very
made a
well.
choice. I
Very
don't
well.
hold you responsible for this.
You are aware of the situation of another set of rules being broken. You are, more than anyone, seemingly concerned with the machinations and motivations behind them. Why?
Why am I worried about what's going to happen? He just kind of looks. He looks up. He's like, I may not understand why I'm here, but I understand there's a point to this. And if someone is seeking to subvert that, I can only believe it's because they're trying to get around it. That they've done something, or believe that they should not be judged for what they've done. So, yeah, I'm worried about what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out.
So you are concerned, then, that the system that you are a part of is being endangered. Is this an accurate reflection of what you are trying to convey?
He kind of like tilts his head a little bit. Despite my actions, yes, I suppose it does seem contrary to be concerned about preserving an order that I may not fully understand, but also exerting my own free will to actively disobey that system.
The judge stares at you, and even without it, with the void under the wig, you can feel eyes peering into you. And after a few moments, the judge says, "Do not forget the reasons that you have been granted the form that you now take. When you fail to see the consequences of following a system without regard to what is truly right and wrong, you curse yourself more than you harm those that are harmed by your naivete, your steadfastness to rules." When you understand the system that you are attempting to uphold, only then will you fully understand why and how violating it causes harm. Do not presume to know until then.
Jerome is feeling very like he can literally feel those eyes just kind of like piercing into the small child that is his soul right now. The small frightened child that's kind of like, oh god, oh god. He's like,
Saint
yes,
Saint Jerome,
yes, Your Honor.
see the benefits of not turning your eyes away. Continue to peer after that which requires your attention. Is this understood?
Jerome he nods his head and he's very much taking a very respectful like position.
The wig nods and says, dismissed. And the gavel bangs. Reiko,
Hi.
Shin is looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Says, you know, there's something that I ask a lot of people. A lot of people. But I am curious to hear what your answer is going to be. You've got a very interesting perspective, I'm sure. Because you've been not only have you been thinking about this a long time, but you've gotten some firsthand experience that a lot of people haven't had by the time I asked this question. Reiko, what do you think happens when people die?
Reiko just kind of reaches towards the pockets she doesn't have and turns them inside out, in a mime of it, and says, "Sorry, don't have my materials with me right now."
See, I didn't ask you what you know happens when you die. What do you think happens? What do you, Reiko, think?
So right now, Reiko is like actively like looking over her shoulder for Dantalion.
You realize that you are in the room alone with Shin.
For clarity, is this still like the same room functionally speaking, or is this like some other kind of room?
Uh, you are. What would be a good answer for this? Because it could be the same place, but no, actually, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be a good place. You look around your surroundings, and you see things kind of slowly fading in and out. You see the places that you have been to in Limbo slowly streaming into one another. The river Styx, Central, Gideon and Dantalion's office, the streets of Limbo, your own kind of apartment, the Fulcrum, and intermixed between them are very fantastical versions of afterlives that you have seen in books and TV shows and that you have imagined previously. Places like paradise, like hell, going in to one another, flipping through and gradually transforming into one another.
Pretty big question you're asking someone.
It's kind of my thing.
So out of character, am I supposed to fucking know who this guy is?
Uh, how do I answer that?
Because I'm just like over here going like,
You know
I'm
who it
kind of like
is. You just don't
engaging
know.
fight or flight mode. I'm actually ready to just like throw down, honestly.
Okay. In character, I think it's up to you if Reiko realizes whether or not that this person is death.
Mm. You know what?
That's a very average roll.
I was hoping it would be a little more polarizing.
Yeah, really.
Fair.
I
You
mean,
know what? Let me do better. Let me do better.
Use the coin of science.
No.
The coin of science.
Okay, no.
I mean,
Right.
I will just point out, like, Sheen, as in like she, as in death, just like that.
Like, no, like I got that, but I don't know if like she's making that association because like, okay, so like in my line of
some
thinking,
people are named Sheen. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Like that is like a legit name. Also, there was like this great big roundabout like way to get communication to like the group from death. So like the idea of like the same person going through all of that trouble and then just being like, "Hey, poof, you're in my office. By the way, let me ask you some philosophical questions." That does not really track to her.
and that is perfectly fair. And there is a reason for that.
Oh, sure.
But yeah.
So, all right, so Reiko is going to kind of look around, realize that she's in a position where she's not feeling safe anymore, and is going to fold her arms under her chest. May I ask you a question first?
Of course.
What is, and she kind of gestures vaguely in the surroundings. What's all this
Ooh.
about?
Ooh. Ooh. It's going to be a more complicated answer than I normally have to give. All right. Here's another way of putting it, Reiko. If I were to ask you, where do you go when you die? You would say, maybe hell, nowhere, purgatory, Valhalla. One of those kinds of answers.
Well,
That's why I
considering that-
asked you. Go ahead.
Considering how many different interpretations of what happens there are, I've always been of the belief that there's a commonality between everything and a bit of truth in everything, but no one story is completely correct.
And that's why when you showed up in Limbo, you said, I knew it.
Mm-hmm. Because there has to be more to it than just that.
And that's what you think. That's what you think happens when you die.
Well, I feel like a lot of that's been confirmed given the continued existence of Limbo.
From your perspective, it seems to have been confirmed.
Sure.
What did it take for that to be confirmed for you?
Well, obviously I died.
Ah.
So let me ask you this. Let me see if I can skip ahead a little bit. Are you
Mhm.
going to basically lead this round to death is what you make of it, and it's kind of your own creation? given the way that our appearances in the afterlife reflect that of the way we perceive ourselves.
Oh, you don't need me to tell you that. You already know that, Reiko. What I'm trying to tell you is something that's kind of related to that, though. You have a unique perspective on death because of your interests in life and because of the way that you came to the point of confirmation, we'll put it delicately. But nobody who's alive knows for certain what is in store for them in death. I can tell you factually what happens when you die. Would you like to hear it?
Well, I would be an absolute farce of a research over the subject if I didn't have an answer from someone who seems to be an expert on the matter.
All right. You ready? When you die, your heart stops beating, your body begins to decay, you lose brain activity. Eventually, your organs and all the cells that make up your body rot away, are fed off of by various substances as they are returned to the earth, to put it poetically.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that you knew in life is no longer able to speak with you.
Right.
That's what happens when you die. That's what you know. That's what we know happens when you die. It's kind of a boring answer, isn't it?
It's a boring answer, and it doesn't really feel like it competes with the sheer pageantry of that which I currently stand.
Hmm.
Are you implying that this isn't real?
No. It's as real as anything. As real as I am.
And
And
you are?
I'm the realest thing that's ever been a part of you. I'm the end. Well, no. Right now I'm your end.
That sounds threatening.
No. It's not a threat. It is a fact. I am the end of your life.
Well, I was hoping the end of my life would be a little cuter, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, oh, Ms. Yamashita. Look, I got all dressed up. Tried to make a first impression. I waxed my skull. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. Not to say that your outfit isn't good, just you're not really my type, you know?
I'm not supposed to be.
I guess
You've
that's
got-
fair.
you've
Am I
got
to conclude then that you have a bit of a variability in how you choose to convey information? Because if you're who I'm guessing you are at this point, there was a bit of a runaround recently that I bore witness to, and yet here we stand, and I'm finding myself a little confused as to why there's the
Reiko,
varying methods.
I'm your death. I am death, but I'm your death right now. I can
So
tell
what
you
makes
things
me
that
so special?
you're not. Well, you are. Sorry. You're, and not just like in an everyone special kind of way. Your circumstances are actually very special. But the reason I show up to you in this form, I show up to everyone in some form or another. Except for the people who just, blink out of existence once they die. They barely acknowledge me if I'm lucky. But you have died. So now, as your death and at the end of your life, in certain circumstances when I see fit, I can appear to you And honestly, I can't look. I can't. I know that yes, I double capital I did try and do some things to nudge you in the right direction. I can't do any of that because that's not part of who you are. Does that make sense?
I'm not exactly subtle, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well. Yeah. Yeah, if all of me was just like the me that is you, that is part of you, then yes, you would have gotten everything right up front. But the uh, big I doesn't operate that way. And I can't do things that only big I is capable of.
Reiko's going to actively like start kind of laughing at the termage being used because I'm having difficulty not laughing myself. This is just like, okay, hang on. I think I get what you're trying to say, but the way you're saying it to me is a little silly. Or at least
Well,
silly
that's-
sounding.
Well, guess whose fault that is?
Memory book, I blame you. And she pulls out the book and it's just like has a middle finger. So then, if you're my Reaper, let's call it that way for termage reasons.
Okay. Don't tell your friends that you use that term. But okay. Yeah.
Then what's with the circumstances around my death? Why was I not contacted then? Why am I being contacted now?
Well, to begin with, I don't always appear to people at the moment of their death. That is what the Reapers are for what the afterlife is for. I'm just kind of... All right, well, you should know this. Death is an ever-present entity wherever life is concerned.
Sure.
Wherever you have been throughout your entire life, I have been there, even if
Sure.
you couldn't see me.
Sure.
So I was there when you died, when you passed over, we'll call it. The reason I didn't appear to you then is because I didn't want to.
Oh, well, that's a boon to the ego.
Oh, please.
I would have accepted you were busy.
No. Well, that's the thing about being death is that, yes, I am always busy, but also I have time for everyone.
Right, never too busy.
No.
This is starting to sound like a rude relationship.
I'm your death. I'm not supposed to be your friend. How awkward would that be?
I don't know. See someone off with a smile?
I have people.
She says,
for
smiling
that.
herself. By the way, she has kind of like gotten enough of her groove back that she's got her usual smile back by this point.
People for that. I love it.
Okay. Does that answer your question well enough now? Can we go back to mine?
Sure.
What was I talking about again?
You asked me what I thought happens when you die.
Right. So you had an answer for that, right?
Right, and then you had a rebuttal.
Okay. Now, here is a follow-up to that. Let's assume that you had seen everything that you had seen since you passed over into Limbo when you were alive. Would that change the way that you thought about things?
I'd certainly be more excited.
I mean, I guess that, knowing the possibilities, then yeah, it would have seemed like a pretty good deal. But, all right.
Like, I don't think anyone would really believe me except maybe my girlfriend, but there again, maybe not. So I'm going to say probably I would be on my own on that until I could actually prove it, like scientifically or something like that, which would be a bit of an ask without a means to, contact it in a manner that was incontrovertible.
He looks at you and he says, yeah, that would be a bit of an ask, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that that's why there's all these rules in places about, don't make overt showings and whatnot, because then everyone gets the idea, and not everyone's me, and is probably going to get weird ideas about it.
The rules are in place because, like I said, when you die, the people that were in your life remain in your life. They don't come with you into death until it's their time, potentially. That's the reason why there's the separation and why it's supposed to be as much of a one-way street as possible. But, in a more specific sense, yeah. Information is not supposed to flow the other way. Even if you know...
As a researcher, I think that's infuriating, but from a practical standpoint, no, I get it.
If you knew what was going to happen to you when you died, yes, you, Reiko, would have been excited by the prospect, and as a great researcher that you were going to be, and that you are going to be, and that you are.
And then there's corrupt politicians and those who would abuse others and yada, 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 try to subvert the system, etc., which there's already suspicion of that trying to occur on this side. Is that where this is going?
I didn't say that. You said that.
Yeah, I said that because I'm asking you.
Good luck with that, Reiko. You guys are back in. You guys are back in the monastery.
Motherfucker. She's going to storm over to Dan. Tell you, your boss is a dick.
All right, that's going to be all the time we have for today, everybody.
So, hi, I'm Ash. I ruined the session, everybody. I'm sorry.
No, I had to step away to deal with something, and then came back without any idea of what's going on.
I'm sorry about that. That was a very sudden turn, but that is what happened.
And I was assuming Tan was actually there, but I guess it would be better to just say he wasn't for the sake of what happened.
I'm really sorry, Skitch. Yeah, when I asked for perception checks, I didn't get one from you, so I assumed.
No, I was away from the desk. That's why it didn't
that
roll.
Sucks. I'm sorry.
I wrote BRB like at 420.
Yes, you did. Shit.
I didn't catch it either. I'm sorry, man.
I wasn't looking at
God
this.
damn it.
I will address that later, I think, because I do have something for you too.
Yeah, because I assumed that. Yeah. But
I will pick it up with you next time because I think that we are going to need to wrap up here for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, thank you for joining me. See how you guys feel like it when I give you a left turn. So that's gonna be D&D Abeyance for this week. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the show. We, I believe, are going to have a session next week,
And then we'll be off for a while.
and then we'll see what we're going to do after that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's gonna do it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Fucking left turn with death there, dude. Nicely done.